Hello and welcome back to UK Versus, bringing you theories, news and more, win, lose or draw. And today we're looking at Jeremy Ray's design article around the card combos of Reign of Kaiju. I've already taken a quick look. There's a couple that I had identified, a couple that I hadn't, and a couple I feel that were missed, although it was pointed out to me by R&D. These are more interactions than they are combos. There's a couple in here that I'd argue are also interactions rather than combos, but I'm not Jeremy Ray, so he gets to define what the combos go into the article. I just get to criticize it. So these are Jeremy Ray's favourite combos within Reign of Kaiju, and we're starting off strong with Flock Forester, Jaegerist Follower, and Humanity Fights On. Humanity Fights On is a 13 diff, 7 mid for 7 that changes its zone when you play it as a blitz, and a static that says it gets 1 cheaper for every infinity card you have in your stage. Jaegerist Follower, you're allowed 10 copies of in your deck, and all have the infinity symbol. And Flock Forester, Jaegerist Leader, lets you mill 2 and then build 1 backup with a difficulty 2 or less from among the cards milled this way. So if you mill a Jaegerist Follower using Flock, you build it in, and if you can get all 10 down, you get a 7 mid for 7 for 3 difficulty. On top of that, with the powerful 3 in a late game, this becomes an absolute beast. Being able to drop this as your 4th, 5th, 6th attack on a low difficulty, and also then go, I'm gonna pump a bunch of static into the, I'm gonna pump a bunch of momentum into this card, can just outright end games. Moving on from there, we have King Ghidorah and item menu. This is what I had a separate video recorded on for that I'm now going to have to delete. Luckily I hadn't edited it, but this is a really cool interaction, and it's not just item menu that they have this interaction with. They get the same interaction with grinding over time, although the original King Ghidorah from the Challenger does have the same aspects, and this allows you to essentially get a backup into stage. It's not the best interaction, but it's a cool way of just being able to utilize a very rare ability in this game of removing cards from your hand, which the Sun Jin Woo kit loves to do. Being able to replace the card in your hand as a 5-hander also helps out a lot. Next is Electric Moth Jet Jaguar. Now there are other cards that ready your character, but Electric Moth is one of the cheapest. Jet Jaguar, if you've played this ability 3 times, if you play this ability as if this is your 3rd time playing his ability to increase your damage and increase your check, you have to commit Jet Jaguar. However, if Electric Moth is your 3rd attack, you then get to ready your character, and Jet Jaguar doesn't say 3rd or greater, allowing you to just keep increasing your check and play deeper into a string. It's a very powerful ability and allows you to really kind of pop off a lot more. Biolatte, Hunter's Ally, and Ray Fillet. So using Hunter's Ally to build in Ray Fillet as your kind of first attack of your string, then using Ray Fillet to add a face down card to your opponent's card pool, and then Biolatte going, this attack gets +1 and -1 damage for each face down card in all players' card pools, allows you to essentially turn Ray Fillet into a stacker of damage. You are guaranteed to get a +1 damage thanks to Ray Fillet, and it's just going to keep on adding more into that. And the fact that Hunter's Eye and Biolatte share 2 symbols mean that on water, on life, or on earth, you're going to be able to put it off because Ray Fillet is a tuned card. Fire Rodan is arguably one of the weakest characters that we did get from the set, primarily because he doesn't deal with speed. As Jeremy says, speed is what you need, and high speed dive does give you that speed. If this is the only card in your card pool, your attacks for the rest of your attacks get +2 speed this turn. This becomes a 6 mid for 10 and giving +2 to all your other attacks throughout the rest of the turn. Very cool. A very powerful card, allowing Rodan to give the damage to everything because they need to have that speed bonus. Ghidorah Unleashed Incubating. This is one I've actually got some gameplay of me doing. On offense or on defense, you can use Incubating to give this attack -1 speed, and then you can use the response because it was removed for cost to play this card, whether you need a 1 high block, whether you want to play the 4 high for 4, you get to pop off and drop this in, giving yourself essentially a cheeky little hand size increase for offense or defense. It does get removed. It does get removed when it leaves your card pool, but it's a solid ability that shares 2 symbols with incubating that allows you to find an attack when you need it, or have a high block that could save your game. Kuwabara, Spirited Warrior, and Sacred Guardian. Kuwabara gives damage reduction by committing foundations, meaning that your opponent's hitting you for less, and Sacred Guardian is a 2 mid block, but has a static that says when you have no ready foundations, give this -2 to its block modifier. So if you can get some speed reduction, or just get a bit lucky, you can block later attacks after using all the foundations in your stage to damage reduce the first few ones, and even after that, when you block with Sacred Guardian, you get to draw 2 cards, discard a card, and gain 2 health. It's a great utility, and gaining health, and then also using the DR from Kuwabara. Kuwabara, Unyielding Force. This one, a little bit less of a combo piece. There's better ones like Titan of Terror, which can just, if you've got this in your opening hand, you can discard it to then build it in using the Titan of Terror. You can then use it to play it using the Titan of Terror ability. Same with Jet Jaguar. You can review this as in your opening hand and use Jet Jaguar's form to build in. I think they're better combos that could have been highlighted here, in my personal opinion. But being able to increase your check when you're getting +3 damage on all your attacks late game, as well as every single turn getting 1 or 2 power tokens, allowing you to really pop off and go, in the late game, I'm going to be killing you. Kurama, Kurama Growing Grasp. Growing Grasp is a throw that gets +1 damage to each card in each player's card pool. Kurama has a hand that says, during your attack, your rival adds the top card of their deck to their card pool. If you pair this with things like Hunter's Ally, Ray Fillet, similar to what we saw with the Violetta, you can really pop off and stuff a bunch of stuff in your opponent's card pool and get Growing Grasp into a high damage attack. On the same kind of thing, you can do this to yourself. I have played games with Titan of Terror where Growing Grasp is in my discard, and I will build out 3, 4, 5 foundations, or play an attack, then build out, and then go form Growing Grasp. I will get +6 damage onto this, and then swing it out. Yeah, it's 5 damage. 5 damage is a lot, especially since I can keep doing it. And because you're not paying for the check with Titan of Terror, dropping it at the end of your turn, basically going, yeah, all my card pool counts to 1 damage here. Very solid. Kurama with the life, having the Hunter's Ally for Ray Fillet. I think Ray Fillet should have been featured on here as well, personally. But it's an absolutely solid line, and I think I love to see Kurama getting more love. Bridget Growing Grasp along the same lines. You're flipping stuff in your card pool for speed. Unfortunately, the one you flip for Growing Grasp won't count because Blitz happens before Enhance. But again, it's an absolutely solid ability. I think, again, Titan of Terror, if we're doing it multiple, Titan of Terror should run here as well. Being able to stuff your card pool up and then drop the Growing Grasp is absolutely solid to me. Mei Hatsume Mechanical Legion. This is a flavor win because, as it says above, Mei sends her legions of robots at you, adding speed or damage, giving a chance to filter through the deck more, and 5 more copies of Legion, and overwhelming them because you can have up to 6 copies of Legion in your deck. And it gets -1 difficulty for each copy of Legion. I'm not too sure on this one, honestly. Yes, you're talking about a 5 mid for 8 late game that you could make a 7 mid for 8 or a 5 mid for 10. But you're not really utilising the main part of Mei, which is the keyword enhancement. I would love to see this more with Bladed Uppercut, which increases its keywords again. And then you can also make Hatsumi to increase the keyword again, getting you a stun 3, a powerful 4, an EX 4. That would be more along the lines of where I went with Mei Hatsumi kind of thing. Flavor wise, this is a flavor win. Mecha Godzilla Kiru with Blasting Off. Blasting Off has a response that says, after you play a keyword ability, draw a card. And Mechagodzilla allows you to discard cards from your hand as though they were momentum, as though you were spending momentum for EX or powerful. So this is essentially a 7 min for 7 that says review 2. You take a card from your hand, discard it because you don't need it, draw another card, get 2 damage. You discard a card from your hand for powerful, draw a card, and it becomes a 7. And if you could somehow pop off the deadlock as well, you then get to draw another card. As well as being on honor, you can chuck things like don't do this in here, where you then where you then discard a card to give it stun 1, play the stun 1, and you get to add an additional card back to your hand because you played a keyword ability. Absolutely solid ability, and really cool to see Jeremy highlighting it. Jamie and Focus Prism Beams. Again, this is a bit more weird for me. This isn't about committing foundations. So, yeah, dropping it as a late attack, I can see where you're going with this. But, I don't know. This is a bit of a weird one for me in here. Dropping it late in a turn, you would be getting essentially a 10 for 9, which is really cool, but you kind of need to get there. This doesn't feel like an immediate kind of combo because it doesn't synergize with what Jamie's trying to do. But yeah, I can see the line here. It's just a high impactful with the Tenacious Enhance, kind of forcing that full block, letting you ready up Jamie because it's a powerful attack that's going to waste resources. But sometimes your opponent's also not going to be able to block it, which is going to work out in your favor as well. Rider Braun, Oxygen Destroyer. This one to me was absolutely beautiful. I hadn't considered this out. When you transform with Rider, you flip 4 foundations, and then every time you play an attack, you can commit. Every time you play an attack, you can get 2 damage, and then you can either commit or sacrifice a foundation to force your opponent to ruin 1. So if you play 2 attacks, you can block 2 of your rival's foundations because they will guarantee to have at least 2 face downs, and that allows you to pop off the Oxygen Destroyer from your discard, play it as your 3rd attack, and then drop in with a 4 low for 7. That's going to blow up another foundation. That's really, really cool, and it's because of how much flip cost we have in this game at the minute. Oxygen Destroyer and Rider are going to be an absolute menace. That is it for Jeremy's list. I have a couple more, in my personal opinion, that I thought were really cool and should have been part of the list. For me, one was Space Godzilla with Fortune's Favor. Space Godzilla, if your opponent plays a non-foundation, you can give -3 to the check. Failing check does not end the turn, and if they pass the check, you get a momentum that you can then spend as your first form for +1 to your check and 2 power tokens. However, if you have 1 or 2, 3 or 4 Fortune's Favor down, it becomes a more taxing decision on your opponent's mental load, because you're going to your opponent, pass this check and I will get a momentum, fail this check, and my next check gets +1, +2, +3, +4. So you're going down in cards and I'm going up in check, meaning that I'm going to have to use less resources when I choose to block. On top of that, because with Space Godzilla, you're going to be building a check hacking kind of build with Space Godzilla versus Godzilla, with Fighting for Control, you're going to be able to keep harnessing this Fortune's Favor ability. And it's an absolutely solid piece of tech. Like the fact that he's got this chaos symbol allows you on any symbol to pop in Fortune's Favor and just go, you fail checks, your turn doesn't end, but my defense gets stronger or my offense gets stronger. You choose to block with an attack. Cool. I'm gonna neg that check. Now you either take damage and give me momentum, or you fail it and make my next attack easier to play. I think it's an absolutely solid piece of tech that should have been part of this article, in my personal opinion. The other one for me that should have been here is Divine Defender, mainly just to highlight a really cool interaction that not too many people are aware of, and that is Divine Defender does not care about attacks that have been played, only attacks. for new players, for players that weren't around during Crimson Rampage, attacks. There's a difference between your opponent's attacks and your opponent's attacks that are played. There are certain things that carry over. So, for example, if I play a attack that gives my next attack +2 speed, if I then, when I go to play the attack, that +2 speed is immediately added on before the check is made. If I fail that check, that +2 speed goes away for the next card. So, Defined Defender only cares about attacks that have been attempted to play, not just played. So if I go, so if I play this on Order and I chuck a Fighting for controlling, they go to play their first attack. It fails. It's not played. They then play their first attack. I block it. They then play their second attack. I use Divine Guardian to pick up my block because this is their third or greater attack this turn. Despite only being the second attack played, 3 attacks have been attempted to be played, which is all it cares about. It's the same thing that happened with Struggling with Studies, that when you could pop off with things like Blue Flame Torment, Shigaraki, you could, if you could force your opponent to fail the checks for attacks without ending their turn, you could unlock this weird interaction where it might be the second attack that has been played this turn, but it's still their third attack, which allows you to then go, I'm going to pick up my block, and it's really powerful Omni blocks, they're very powerful as Omni blocks, which we have got some in Reign of Kaiju. It's a really cool interaction that not too many people are aware of. Those are the 2 that I think should have been part of the article, primarily because Fortune's Favour is such a cool card that doesn't see play, and the Protective Guardian Fighting for Control kind of combo, to me, needs more highlighting. It shows a depth of this game that some people may not be aware of. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. If I missed any other combos, do let me know. Let me know what you think of Jeremy's list. Was I a bit too harsh on some of the combos, such as the Mei Hatsume Mechanical Legion? Personally, I think it's a flavor combo, perfectly, but I don't really see it as much as a play combo. But I'm going to leave it there. I will catch you all at game night. And remember, for theories, news or more, win, lose or draw, keep it UK versus, and I'll see you at game night. Bye.